Hey, good morning, everybody. I had so much fun doing the crazing demo last week that I thought I'd do another today. And this one is, if you want to call crazing on encaustic traditional, this one is more of the original or traditional idea of crazing encaustic, and that is with the shellac. I wasn't going to do this because there are tons of shellac burn demos out there on YouTube, and I encourage you to go check them all out. But I decided to go ahead and have fun. Well, first I had so much fun last week, I thought, well, let's just do the traditional as well. But I thought I'd put my own out there so that they could all be in one place, I guess, somewhere to start. So first, this one is going to be the dry burn. And I do burns two ways. One's a dry burn, I refer to it as dry burn, and the other is a wet burn. The wet burn is what you're probably most familiar with. That is lighting it on fire and watching those flames fly all over the place until they burn out. And I might just go for that next week. I'm contemplating. It's going to depend on the weather. I don't like a breeze going. But this one is the dry burn. So what I've got going on here is an underpainting of encaustic. That is really important. If you haven't done this before, that's something to emphasize. You want to have an encaustic painting going on underneath, or encaustic paint underneath this, because what's going to happen is as you bring the heat to it, whether it's a dry burn or a wet burn, the wax underneath is melting, causing the shellac to craze. That's the effect we're after, and as you can see, it can't craze if there's no wax underneath melting and crazing it. So this is dry shellac. That's why we're catching the light like that. Good grief, that's a shellac slip going on all over it that's completely dry. And I've done that over two paintings just to see what the difference will give us. If you watched last week's crazing demo, I did it with alcohol ink, pan pastel, and oil paint. And that's what's underneath this. This is the demo board I used for that those other materials in crazing last weekend. And just for fun, I decided to continue using it in this demo as well. So I'm going to light up my torch here and bring the heat to the surface. Now, a couple points before I do that, though. I'd like to point out that if anybody does not like flame, this is a great way to still get that crazing effect in your encaustic, because you can simply use a torch, or excuse me, a heat gun. You don't have to pull in fire. You don't have to, actually, obviously it doesn't light on fire, so you're avoiding that, that element, but you don't have to use a torch either. You can use just the heat gun to get the same effect, which is really nice to know. And another point to emphasize is that if you use you can try out different torch heads, doing it the way I do, where I bring it down and have it craze and then come away, bring it down and craze and come away. If you use, well, actually maybe for any of the techniques of how you use the torch and the flame, if you get different torches, say a pencil torch, a creme brulee torch, the propane torch, try them all if you have them available, and each torch head will give you a different crazing effect because of its diameter, because of its intensity. They'll all give you a different effect, so play with those. But now for the process. Get my torch going here. And like I said, I kind of just push and pull. I go in with the torch and pull away when the crazing happens the way I want it to. It ends up creating something of circles or dots, which I'm cool with. But I can manipulate it in different ways, not just going up and down, to get different overall pattern going on. And I'll demonstrate that on the second board. Now you can see it is reacting differently depending what is underneath it as well. So where I just came in over this wax oil paint, it burns a little bit differently than where it went over pen pastel, or where it was over just paint, encaustic paint, or where it was over just the alcohol ink. Now in terms of doing a different patterning, like I said, I demonstrated the push-pull technique here. Just trying to fill the whole surface with crazing that it doesn't have any sort of pattern to it is very possible as well. I'm working on a slight slant here because I'm in a 135-year-old house and the floors aren't level, so I'm fighting that flow. But you can see you can get that all over. Blah, blah, blah. You can get that all over crazed broken effect as well. And as I said last week, and is rather obvious, but sometimes we need obvious pointed out, I could have just filled a very specific area with the shellac and only done a burn up here. I could have, taped off and applied the shellac, let it dry, remove the tape, and have the crazing going on just in very specific areas. So you can work with it, have a lot of control, a little control, let it be all serendipitous or very purposeful. That is all about your own style, your own creative style when you get going on that kind of stuff. So play with it, have fun. I do. I love working this way. All right, that's today's demo. I'll see you again on Saturday at noon. I had something in mind, but guess what? I've already forgotten what it is. I'm going to take you somewhere, whether my own house and castle here or out in Lexington. It will be fun. I promise you that. And then next Wednesday, we'll come back with another demo. I've got Waxy Wednesday here, so if it's not going to be shellac crazing dry burn, we'll go outside for that. That would be shoved to the following week, but it will be something. I'm glad you're here. Glad you stopped in. It'll be on YouTube in just a few moments if you want to watch again. Thanks for coming along.